Well, good morning. Weird one today. First, before I get to where we're headed now, I want to say a word or two about St. John's. We were headed out of St. John's, and I did not have a camera with me. But one of the most beautiful parts, maybe the most beautiful part of that area, is coming into and out of the harbor. So while you didn't see a shot of that, I highly recommend coming into or out of St. John's via a ship at some point, even if you just take a day excursion once you've driven there or flown there. And here's the weird part. St. John's, I don't think I said it before, is on an odd time zone. Usually time zones go in hours, right? The longitude will give you another hour as you go from west to east, and that gets messed with. You know, people, for one reason or another, they don't make the line straight for usually reasons that make a lot of sense. The unity of time in a country and that kind of thing. But that one's a half hour ahead. It's a half hour time zone. So if it's 12 on the East Coast, it's 12:30 in St. John's, because it sticks out a little farther. But doing it a half hour is kind of strange. Where we're headed today is what ought to be another little part of Canada along Newfoundland. But this is where we're headed is called Pierre and Miquelon, which is literally a part of France, and that ought to be the strange part, where you go from what looks like one part of Canada to another, but you wind up in France. It's not really. What's strange, is, I think, is when you go from east to west, you actually go ahead an hour. Those of you in North America who, say, fly from one coast to the other know that you're going to put the clock forward or backward 3 hours, depending on whether you're flying, say, from LA to New York or vice versa. And it's going to be earlier on the west coast than it is on the east coast. And that's not the case now. We're actually going ahead a half an hour by going west. So and change the time zone. But strangest of all is that suddenly you go from being in Canada to being in France. You're not in Quebec. You're not in some part of French-speaking Canada. You're literally back in France. So where we're headed today is a very unique place. It is has been on what some people might call their bucket list, or my bucket list, for ever since I've known about it, which hasn't been that long, a decade or something like that. But it made me think of what I heard someone say the other day, with reference to some place they had already been, and that is that sometimes it's best to make your bucket list after you've been there. So for those people who don't have a bucket list, who are not thinking, I want to go to place X, Y, or Z before I die, or I want to do X, Y, or Z, it sounded to me when the person said it like, count your many blessings every day, or you don't really know what's going to appeal to you till after the fact. So there are times when we think we know, if I can only go to Paris, or if I can only, see some place or do something, why then everything will be fine. But very often we don't really know what we want until we've got it. So it's not just that you don't know what you've got until you lose it. Sometimes you don't know what you've got until you've done it. So it may be that there are places that are on your bucket list, so to speak, that you've already been to. Why not appreciate those spots? So today we're headed into what I consider a very unique place for lots of reasons, and if I have a bucket list, and I don't really think I do, this would be on it. So yeah, going off to see Pierre et Miquelon, and it's going to be a chance to spend a little time in France before going home. Now, another strange thing about this transition from east to west is that the temperature yesterday was somewhere in the mid-70s. Today it's in the or going to get to be in the mid-40s. And it's, again, we're sailing east to west. So there's every reason to think that the temperature, then this is late May, would go, because we're not going to south anymore. Every day was getting a little warmer, and now we've simply headed east. It's gotten much colder. And, there's always a front to explain that kind of thing, but from what I can tell, the temperature literally just drops. So this is, look how quaint, beautiful. Pushing 8 o'clock in the morning, late May. Just an adorable part of the world, and it's not as small as this shot makes it seem. Where we're headed is right in there. But still, the sudden approach of part of France is a strange sight. So. And again, that's kind of part of why I think nationalism is such an odd thing, because it makes a difference to people, enormous difference sometimes, whether we're in Canada or whether we're in France or whether in the United States or whether this is China and so on. So we will see all that, or as much as we can, of what this place contains. I'm really maybe inordinately excited about it. Alors, bienvenue à Saint-Pierre et Miquelon. Great little town. A town center here. Not everything's open today, for reasons I don't fully understand. It's a Friday, but it's in a lot of cases like this. You're just too early in the year. It'd be like June 1st, and we're only a day or two off. I think today's the 30th of May. I'm just going around here. I want to show you the spot I filmed a little earlier coming in. Waterfront park, really secluded harbor, which is good because as I saw today, it can get really windy here. And see if I can get out here and show you at least the edge of the harbor first. There's some kind of old torpedo from when this needed to be protected from somebody or other. And some cannons off in the distance. I assume for the same reason. All right, and this is quite obviously the lighthouse at the mouth of the harbor. I'll try to pipe up because it's pretty darn windy out here. You see there's a lot of very healthy looking kelp that's collected, the tide's out. And I would assume that this walkway is only slightly above water when it's really high tide. That's part of that greater tidal change when you get to the north. But out over here, before I run into people, if you look back over to this side, it's what I filmed a little bit of earlier. That's an old fishing village. It's a separate island, Ile de Marin, I think it's called. And it's just a beautiful area. It's probably much colder than this during the rest of the year, but it's a beautiful old lighthouse, and there's not much to it, but it's in a pretty good spot. This is probably still often used. It's you're trying to come in here. We had to do a turnabout ourselves to try to get in properly. Here's downtown St. Pierre from a distance. Shore. That walkway connects this, otherwise it would be just a little dot out in the middle of it. Well, I asked about the cheese, and unfortunately the person I spoke to didn't know either. And we'll see. You can't always get what you want. Plenty of recycling. All right, finally found it. And even though it says boucherie, which is more meats than a fromagerie, which is for cheese, I found this, and this is for my good friends Christophe and Stephanie, and what goodies I got out of there, they'll have them before long. Great place.